You did not stop here by accident. Something inside you, quiet, persistent, impossible to name, pulled you to this exact moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. And if you have learned anything about the way life works, you already know that the things which find us when we are not looking for them are almost always the things we needed the most. Carl Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What you are feeling right now, that strange mixture of longing and exhaustion, of hope and confusion, that is not weakness. That is your psyche trying to show you something your waking mind has not been ready to see. There is someone in your life, or someone who has moved through your life like a storm that left everything rearranged, who loves you, not casually, not conveniently, not in the easy, comfortable way that asks nothing of a person. They love you in the way that frightens them, in the way that wakes them at 3 a.m, in the way that makes ordinary life feel insufficient when you are not in it. And they are running from it, not from you, never truly from you. They are running from the enormity of what they feel, from a version of themselves your love demands they become, from the terrifying, sacred vulnerability of being truly known by another soul. This message found you because you deserve to understand what is happening. You deserve to stop blaming yourself. You deserve to know that the love you have been questioning, the love that has confused you, and kept you awake and made you wonder if you imagine the whole thing, is more real than anything they have ever felt in their life. Stay here. This is for you. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time here, I want you to know that every single video on this channel is crafted to shift something inside you, to help you see yourself, your journey, and the connections in your life with new eyes. Please take a moment right now to subscribe and hit the bell icon, selecting all notifications so that you never miss a message that was meant to find you. Now, let us continue. You have been carrying something heavy, not the kind of heavy that other people can see when they look at you, because you have become extraordinarily good at carrying it quietly. You smile when you need to. You show up when you are asked to. You move through your days with steadiness that most people around you would never question. But in the private hours, in the space between sleeping and waking, in the silence after your phone stays dark longer than you expected, in the small moments when a song plays or a smell drifts past that reminds you of them, you feel it, the weight of a love that has not resolved itself, the ache of a connection that never received the ending it deserved. Maybe you have asked yourself 100 times what you did wrong. Maybe you have replayed conversations, searching for the moment things shifted. Maybe you have told yourself to move on, to let go, to be sensible, and then found yourself quietly and against your own instructions, still thinking of them at the end of a long and ordinary day. You are not weak for this. You are not foolish. You are not someone who loves too much or feels too deeply or holds on past the point of reason. You are someone who recognized something real. And real things do not disappear simply because we instruct them to. The nights you spent wondering if they thought of you, they did. The moments you felt the silence and questioned whether any of it meant what you believed it meant, it did. The version of yourself that trusted this connection before doubt crept in, that version of you was not naive. That version of you was paying attention to something the waking rational mind is always the last to understand. You were seen in this love. You were chosen in this love. And the confusion you've been living inside is not evidence that you were wrong. It is evidence that what exists between you and this person is too large and too real to be filed away neatly into the ordinary categories of coming and going. Your pain is not a sign that love failed you. Your pain is a sign that love found you and has not finished with you yet. To understand why this person is running, you must first understand something that Carl Jung spent his entire life trying to explain to a world that was not always ready to hear it. Jung believed that every human being carries within them what he called the shadow, the unconscious collection of everything they pushed down, locked away, refused to look at directly, the fears they will not admit, the needs they have learned to be ashamed of, the desires that feel too large or too dangerous to claim out loud. And here is what Jung also understood with extraordinary precision. The moment a person encounters something or someone who illuminates that shadow, who makes the buried parts of them visible and undeniable, the instinctive response is not always gratitude. Sometimes it is terror. This person does not run from you because you are too little. They run from you because you are too much, too real, too present, too deeply aligned with something inside them they have spent years refusing to face. Your love does not allow them to remain comfortable in the half-life they have constructed, and that is not a small thing. That is, in fact, everything. Jung also spoke of a process he called individuation, the lifelong work of becoming whole, of integrating every part of the self, including the parts that have been hidden or denied. This process, he said, is never comfortable. It demands courage. It demands that a person willingly enter the darkness inside themselves and refuse to look away. You, without perhaps intending to, have become the mirror in which this person is being asked to begin that work. When they look at you, they do not simply see you. They see the version of themselves that is capable of real love, of real vulnerability, of real intimacy without armor or performance. And that vision, that clear and unavoidable reflection of who they could be, is the most frightening thing a human being can encounter. So they run, not because the love is not there. The love is there. It is so completely and overwhelmingly there that it has disrupted every careful structure they built to keep themselves protected. They are not running away from you. They are running from the person your love is asking them to become. And somewhere beneath the fear, beneath the shadow and the armor and the years of careful self-protection, they know that person is exactly who they were always meant to be. But here's what you need to understand right now, in this moment. With everything you have just heard sitting quietly inside you, the running is slowing down. You may not be able to see it yet from where you are standing. The silence may still feel the same. The distance may still look identical to what has always looked like. But beneath the surface of what is visible, something has shifted. And Carl Jung would tell you that when the unconscious has been disturbed, when the shadow has been illuminated and the process of individuation has begun, it cannot be undone. The psyche, once awakened, does not return to sleep. This person is in a different place than they were before, not dramatically, not in ways that have yet announced themselves with any clarity, but internally, in the private architecture of their thoughts and their dreams and the moments when they are alone and the noise of their own defenses goes quiet. Something is different. They are thinking about you in a new way, not with the same frantic energy of someone running, but with the slower, heavier quality of someone who has stopped and turned around and is standing very still, looking in the direction they came from. There are signs already present, even if you have not yet known how to read them. A slight change in the texture of their absence, a moment of contact that lasted a beat longer than it needed to, something in the way they have responded or carefully not responded, that carries a weight their casual behavior cannot fully disguise. The universe, as Jung understood it, operates through synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that carry the fingerprints of something larger than accident. The very fact that you are here, receiving this message, at this particular point in your story, is itself one of those synchronicities. Something is moving. Something is shifting in the invisible architecture of this connection. And what is coming toward you is not nothing. Close your eyes for just a moment and consider this. Right now. Not in some distant hypothetical future. Not in a version of events that is yet to arrange itself. Right now, in the quiet corners of this person's inner world, you are present. You are more present than they are comfortable admitting, even to themselves. You exist in the small, unguarded moments of their day in ways that no amount of distance or distraction has been able to dissolve. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, that vast, invisible ocean of shared human experience that flows beneath every individual mind, connecting souls in ways that geography and silence and even deliberate separation cannot interrupt. And within that ocean, the bond between two people who have genuinely touched each other's psyche does not simply cease to exist because one of them chose to walk away. It pulses. It persists. It surfaces. They are dreaming of you, not every night, perhaps, but in the dreams that carry weight, the ones they wake from slowly, the ones that leave a residue across the whole of the following day. You appear in those dreams not as a memory they are processing and releasing, but as a presence that belongs there, as something unfinished, as someone their sleeping mind refuses to categorize as past. During the day, in the spaces between tasks and obligations and performance of ordinary life, their thoughts find you without permission. They will be in the middle of something completely unrelated, something that should hold their full attention, and a thought of you will arrive uninvited, specific and vivid, and it will take more effort than it should to set aside. They pause when they see your name, whether that is in their contacts, in an old message thread, in a conversation where someone else mentions you. There is a pause. Brief, controlled, invisible to anyone watching, but real. The kind of pause that a person who truly did not care would never have to perform. They compare. This is perhaps the most telling thing of all. They meet people. They engage with the world. And in the private courtroom of their own mind, comparisons happen that they do not invite and cannot seem to stop. Something in a new person will be almost right. And the almost is where you live. You have become the standard they measure against without meaning to, without wanting to, and increasingly without being able to pretend otherwise. This is not obsession. This is the psyche recognizing what the ego is trying to refuse. This is love doing what love does when it is real, refusing to be reclassified as something smaller and more manageable than it actually is. If this person could sit across from you right now, not in the armored, defended version of themselves they present the world, but in the raw and honest version that only emerges in their most private moments, this is what they would say to you. They would tell you that they have never felt this way before. Not like this. Not with this particular combination of depth and recognition, and the terrifying sensation of being truly seen by another person. They have loved before, in the way that most people love, with one part of themselves engaged while another part remains carefully held back, safely protected, never fully risked. But with you, something different happened, something they were not prepared for, and did not know how to manage. They would tell you that the running was never about you not being enough. It was about you being exactly enough, precisely, overwhelmingly, unmistakably enough, in a way that dismantled every excuse they had ever used to stay emotionally safe. They would tell you that they have sat with a memory of specific moments between you, not grand moments, not dramatic ones, but small, quiet ones, and felt a warmth and a grief so intertwined they could not separate them. The warmth of having had something real, the grief of having let fear speak louder than love. They would tell you that they are tired of running, tired of rationalizing, tired of the performance of indifference that costs them more energy each day than they expected it to, because pretending not to love someone with your whole chest is exhausting work, and they have been doing it for longer than they should have. They would tell you that you are in their prayers, whether or not they would use that word, that in the moments when they are most honest with themselves, in the stillness before sleep, in the vulnerability of early morning, in the unguarded seconds when the walls come briefly down, your name arrives with the quality of something sacred, something they are not ready to lose, even if they have not yet found the courage to say so. They have not made this confession out loud. Not to you, not to anyone, but it exists, fully formed, deeply felt, sitting in the center of them like something that has been waiting a very long time for the right moment to be spoken. If this message is landing in a place inside you that feels true, if something in these words are confirming what your heart has quietly known, I want you to take one small action right now. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet done so, and hit the bell so that every message that is meant for you will find you. You did not come here by accident. Do not let the next message miss you either. Now let us continue. You must understand something about yourself that you have perhaps been too modest or too wounded or too caught inside your own doubt to fully accept. You are not an ordinary person to love. This is not flattery. This is not the kind of thing said to make someone feel better in a difficult moment. This is a psychological and spiritual truth that Carl Jung's entire bodywork points toward. The idea that certain souls carry a depth of feeling, a quality of presence, an emotional and intuitive intelligence that is genuinely rare in the world. You are one of those souls. Jung spoke of the anima and the animus, the deep feminine and masculine archetypes that live within every person, representing the ideal of what love and connection can be at their highest and truest. When a person encounters someone who genuinely embodies that archetype for them, someone who speaks directly to that deep interior image of what love is supposed to feel like, the experience is unlike anything ordinary attraction produces. You did that for this person. You walked into their life, and something ancient and knowing inside them said, there, that one, that is what I have been looking for. And that recognition did not come from nowhere. It came from who you are, from the way you love, fully, attentively, without the casual half-presence that most people offer each other, from the way you see people. Not just the surface they present, but the interior they protect. From the patience you carry even when it has cost you. From the depth you bring to everything you touch. You awaken something in them that no one else had ever reached. That is not something that fades. That is not something that gets replaced. That is a once-in-a-lifetime recognition, and they know it. Jung believed that the most significant relationships in a human life are never accidental, that the people who arrive and rearrange us, who illuminate our shadow and disturb our comfortable patterns, and make it impossible to remain who we were before we knew them, these people are not random. They are what he might have called necessary, written into the story of our becoming in ways we do not always understand until long after the meeting has occurred. What exists between you and this person carries that quality. Think about the way you found each other, the timing of it, the specific circumstances that would have had to arrange themselves precisely in order for your paths to cross in the way they did, the conversations that went deeper than they should have, faster than either of you expected, the recognition that arrived not gradually but immediately, that sense of already knowing someone you had only just met. These are not coincidences. Jung called them synchronicities, moments where the invisible architecture of meaning makes itself briefly visible, where the pattern beneath ordinary events surfaces long enough to be noticed by anyone paying attention. You were paying attention. Some part of you has always been paying attention. This connection was not a mistake you wandered into. It was not a lesson designed only to leave you emptier than before. It is a karmic contract between two souls who chose each other at a level deeper than the conscious mind can fully access. A contract that has not yet completed itself, that still has chapters left to be written, that is not finished simply because one person became frightened and chose distance over depth. Karmic bonds do not dissolve in silence. They wait. They persist. They call the two people back toward each other across whatever distance fear has manufactured between them. And the call is getting louder. Here is the part that requires your full attention. Because everything you have heard until this moment, the validation, the revelation, the understanding of why they run and what lives inside them and why this connection is not finished, all of it means very little if you walk away from this message and return to the same patterns that kept you waiting in the painful space between hope and certainty. So listen carefully. This is the instruction. Stop chasing. Not because you do not deserve to be pursued yourself. You do, profoundly and without question, but because Carl Jung understood something about the nature of transformation that most people spend their entire lives missing. He understood that you cannot pull another soul to the door of their own becoming. You cannot love someone into their courage. You cannot wait in visible desperation for a person who is still fighting their own shadow and expect that your desperation will make them feel safe enough to stop running. What draws them back is not your pursuit. What draws them back is your wholeness. This is what individuation means for you, right now, in this chapter of your story. Your work is not a focus on them. Your work is to become so fully, so unapologetically, so radiantly yourself that the version of you they fell in love with does not just persist. It deepens. It expands. It becomes something even more undeniable than what first stopped them in their tracks. Stop explaining yourself to people who are not ready to understand you. Stop softening your edges to make someone else comfortable in their avoidance. Stop measuring your worth by the response time of someone who is too frightened of their own feelings to respond with the honesty you deserve. Start choosing yourself the way you have been waiting for them to choose you. This means protecting your peace as if it is sacred, because it is. This means investing the love you've been directing outward back into the interior of your own life, your own dreams, your own becoming. This means allowing yourself to be happy, to be present, to be fully alive in your own story, rather than existing in the margins of someone else's fear. Do not go silent out of anger. Do not disappear as a strategy or a punishment. Let your stillness come from a genuine place of self-respect, the quiet, unshakable knowledge that you are worth showing up for, and that you are no longer available to shrink yourself into a shape that makes avoidance easier for someone else. Jung said that the most important journey a human being ever takes is a journey inward. Begin that journey with full commitment right now, because here is what happens when you do. The moment you stop standing at the edge of their world, waiting, the moment you genuinely, authentically turn toward your own life and begin living with the fullness it deserves, something shifts in the invisible field between you. They will feel it, not metaphorically, not poetically. They will feel the withdrawal of your anxious attention like a change in air pressure, and it will do something to them that no amount of waiting or chasing or explaining ever could. It will make them move. I want you to let your guard down for just a moment. I want you to set aside the exhaustion and the confusion and the careful protective distance you have built around your own hope, and allow yourself to receive what is being shown to you right now. Because what is coming toward you is not more the same. What is coming is not another cycle of distance and longing and a particular quiet agony of loving someone who cannot yet meet you where you stand. What is coming is the resolution, the return, the moment that this long and difficult chapter of your story finally turns its page. See it clearly. Allow yourself to see it. There is a moment approaching, not far from where you are standing right now, in which this person becomes still, in which the running stops, not gradually, not partially, but completely, in which they find themselves in a quiet moment alone, and the full weight of what they have been avoiding lands on them with a clarity that can no longer be rationalized or postponed or outrun. And in that moment, they think of you not with guilt, not with the complicated, tangled feelings of someone still mid-flight, but with simplicity and a certainty that cuts straight through every defense they have ever constructed. They reach out, perhaps with words, perhaps with gestures so specific to the private language of what exists between you that you will know immediately, before they have finished, that something is different this time, that the armor is down, that they are arriving not as a frightened, defended version of themselves you have known, but as someone who has made a decision, the decision that should have been made long before now, the decision that fear delayed but could not ultimately prevent. They tell you, not everything at once. That is not how real vulnerability works. And this will be real, but enough. Enough that you feel it land in the place inside you that has been waiting to receive it. Enough that the question you have carried for so long quietly dissolves, because the answer is standing right in front of you, finally willing to be known. And what follows is not the complicated, anxious love you have known with them until now. What follows is a version of this connection that always existed beneath the fear, steady, warm, honest, and deeply alive. A love that supports your dreams, because it is finally coming from someone who has done enough of their own inner work to show up without condition. A love that feels like rest after a very long journey. Your chest will feel warm in a way that does not frighten you. Your mind will feel quiet in a way it has not been for longer than you can easily remember. And you will understand, with the full weight of lived experience behind the understanding, that everything you went through to arrive at this moment was not wasted. It was preparation. Every moment of confusion, every night of unanswered questions, every time you chose to remain soft when the world gave you every reason to harden, it was all preparing you to receive this love without fear, without reservation, without the defensive armor that would have kept you from feeling it fully. You were being made ready, and you are ready now. Before we close, if this message has moved something inside you, if it has given you clarity, comfort, or the courage to keep trusting what your heart already knows, please subscribe to this channel right now and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Every person who finds this channel finds it for a reason. Be the reason someone else finds their way here. Your support allows these messages to keep reaching the people they are meant for. Thank you for being here. You were never the problem. Sit with that for a moment. Let it move through you slowly, past every layer of doubt and self-questioning, and the quiet erosion of confidence that comes from loving someone who could not yet love you back the way you deserved. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were never the reason this person ran. You were the reason they could not stop thinking about what they ran from. Carl Jung wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You were transformed by this love. You were changed, deepened, expanded in ways that will serve every chapter of your life that follows this one. And so were they. Whatever they tell themselves in the language of their own defenses, they are not the same person they were before you. You left a mark on them that the whole of their remaining life will quietly carry. That is not a small thing. That is everything. So carry yourself accordingly. Walk through your days with the quiet dignity of someone who loved well, who refused to make themselves small, who held on to their self-respect, even when holding on was a harder choice. Because that self-respect is not just what you deserve. It is what makes you magnetic to the very love that is already on its way toward you. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Trust the part of you that knew, even in the darkest and most doubtful moments, that this connection was real and that real things do not end without resolution. The love that is meant for you will not pass you by. It never could,